We had a couple of technical difficulties, but we are here today to talk about everything Payroll Protection Act, Economic Injury Disaster Loan, and the new stimulus bill signed by the president. I've received so many calls and so many inquiries about how one can obtain those funds. I wanted to come on live and guide you through the process and be available for you if you have any questions about how to obtain these funds under the new bill. And in praying about how I was going to do this and in talking with a young lady who is near and dear to my heart, and one of my business consultants and strategists, Dr. Lady Nakia Wright, is on the line with me today live. And I really do thank God for her because really it was her idea. I'll take it though, but to go live and to have this conversation to bring the details out very clearly and very succinctly to you to make sure that everyone understands what's available. And in the end, if you decide it's something that you can do yourself, my prayers are with you. If you decide it's something that you want KCG Consulting Services to help you with, then we are here for you. But Dr. Lady Nakia Wright certainly is the right person to help pull out this discussion. She is an extraordinary business consultant, strategist, owner of probably 3 or 4 businesses. We know that she's the first lady of the Gathering at Forestville. She's the CEO of A Women's Voice. She's a co-chair of the Faith-Based Advisory Board. She manages other businesses for her church and provides strategic guidance for a number of businesses throughout the nation. And so when speaking to her about how we get this information out, it was really her idea to do this live and to bring clarity to where we are. So before the portals open and you're deciding, should I apply? Should I not apply? Should I try again? We're here to break it down for you as best we can. And I do want to thank her and tell her how much I love her. And I appreciate her taking this time out of her busy schedule to make sure that you get this information, because KCG Consulting, A Woman's Voice, we have an assignment and a passion to make sure not just our businesses produce, but your businesses produce. So I'm really pleased to join with her today to make sure that she gets some clarity on this issue of PPP. So with that, I will turn it over to my friend and my colleague, Lady Nakia Wright.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson. It has been a joy and honor and a privilege to work with you. Not only am I serve in the capacity of Prince George's County, you do as well. You are the co-chair of the Faith-Based Advisory Board. And together we have been passionate about making sure that during the time that we've never lived in before, in the midst of a pandemic, that the nonprofits, the churches, for-profit organizations, restaurants, the employees, everyone has what it is that they need to not only survive, but maintain a lifestyle in the midst of an unknown. So I honor you for, although I work with you, I'm also a client of KCG Consulting, and I've reaped the benefits of your hard work that you have been doing for us as it pertains to PPP and EIDLs. One of the things that I thought was very necessary for this moment is, let me tell you this. I don't mind you having an agenda as long as you know that the agenda is clear. The agenda today is that KCG Consulting is available to do your EIDLs and your PPPs. That's what I would recommend. But everyone may not have those same sentiments. And to cut down on the thousands of calls that she would get in reference to, well, can you do this and can you do that? There is a fee attached to the work. But one of the things that we are kingdom builders. So what we wanted to do was to provide you information that if you did not have the finances to hire KCG Consulting, at least you would have the information to go find what it is that you need. And let me add this, that when you apply for a PPP or EIDL, it is a loan until you do a process on the end. And unless you know what it is you're doing, I am going to highly suggest that you hire KCG Consulting. But we got that out of the way. So now let's
come back to it too. We're going to come back to it too. One thing I love about Lady Wright is we always say she gives KCG a shameless plug. It's a shameless plug. Yes. Here is to inform you. But in the end, I mean, because if everybody knows me and Lady Wright, my heart is to see you thrive. I want you to produce. I really do. That's why I stood KCG up in the midst of COVID. Because businesses and individuals, sole proprietors were struggling. I will say at the beginning, and then we'll get into the meat, these PPPs are really, really difficult to do if you don't know what you're doing. And clearly, as Lady Wright said, if you get a loan and you don't do loan forgiveness correctly, then you end up with thousands of dollars of debt. So we want to be here to help you, and you should hire me to help you. But as she said, in the event that you don't feel that you want to go that route, here we're going to give you some details to make it a little easier for you to make that decision.
Yeah, so let's start from the beginning.
Yes.
What a bill just recently passed through Congress. If you're watching CNN, if you're watching the local news, it has been the breaking news for weeks now. So can you just share with us what the Maryland stimulus, what the stimulus package is? And what
Yes.
does it entail? And how does it affect me, a citizen of Maryland, a resident of Maryland, a CEO of several nonprofits? How does what in the bill, how does that
Yes.
affect me?
Yes. So, as Lady Wright said, and we all know we were waiting for it, most of us were waiting for it because they wanted to see whether we were going to get a stimulus check. Was it $600 or $2,000? But the CARES Act, the stimulus bill, is way more than that. And just so you know, here's my cheat sheet that I got from the SBA. And the cheat sheet is about 12 pages long. So you can imagine how long the bill itself is. But the bill just really outlines what funding is available to the American citizens, individuals, as well as businesses, in support of them through this next season of COVID. It does also include information about evictions, moratoriums, and support in other ways. But what is most important for our discussion today, it outlines what the new Payroll Protection Act guidelines are, as well as the new Economic Injury Disaster Loan guidelines are. So that as businesses are looking at whether or not to apply for this funding assistance and how they can capitalize on the funds that they already have, either through tax breaks or loan forgiveness, this new stimulus bill and CARES Act outlines all of that for us and gives us that guidance.
That is excellent. Now, me being a lifelong resident of Prince George's County, if I am a for-profit business and I am let's just say a restaurant owner, and I want to know, can my business apply for a PPP? What information and advice could you give me for both for-profits and nonprofits? But
Sure.
just before you do that, let's
Mhm.
also discuss the employees of these places. As you
Yes.
mentioned, there was a $600 stimulus check given. If you did not file your 2019 taxes, how can you apply? How can you receive this $600 stimulus check?
So you can go on irs.gov and there's a track my payment portal, because everybody's trying to track their payment. Oftentimes it is very, very slow, and you might not even get into it within a 24-hour period. But that's where I would suggest that you first go to find out if a check is on the way. There are some people that hadn't filed yet that received checks. So find out if your check is on the way. Um, Secondly, if you have not, there is a portal on irs.gov as well, where you can put in your information and sign up and give an explanation as to why you haven't filed your last year's taxes so that you can take advantage of that stimulus check. What I would say as a business owner and what I do is to file your taxes. And that is one thing that KCG Consulting can help you with. So if you've been struggling about how to file, what to do, one thing that KCG does is assistance with returns, not detailed returns, but streamline returns. And again, if there is something more detailed, we have partners that we bring in to assist with the filing of taxes. So my recommendation is become tax compliant, so you can get your check as opposed to trying to get the check and not be tax compliant. But there is a way that you can sign up if you're delayed. Maybe your accountant is out. Maybe you don't have all of your receipts in yet, and that's why you haven't filed. There is a way, and IRS.gov has a portal for that.
That's excellent. Dr. Anderson, who's eligible to receive either? Let's talk about the difference between PPPs and EIDLs. And then let's talk about who's eligible to receive either.
Great, 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 great. So, what's great about this new stimulus package, and very thankful for our Senator Ben Cardin for being sort of a trailblazer and making sure that we got the assistance that we did receive under this bill. But there, for businesses, really, the main two areas that you want to focus on are the PPPs. That's the acronym for Payroll Protection Act Program, Payroll Protection Program, and EIDL, which is Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. So let's focus on PPP. PPPs, the Payroll Protection Program funds. Right now, Congress, they passed another $285 billion available for that program. There is $285 billion available. That might sound a lot, but in the first round, which expired in August, there was trillions of dollars. And so one thing that I am encouraging my clients and anybody that's interested in KCG assisting is to act fast. Even on a call with Senator Ben Cardin, he said, act fast, because everyone and their mama is going to start applying for these funds. And when they run out, they run out. So Payroll Protection Act program is available for anybody that's running a business, whether or not you're a sole proprietor, an independent contractor, a nonprofit, a restaurant, a barber, a hairstylist, an Uber driver, an LLC owner like me, a CEO of a nonprofit like you. Anyone who is employed and working is able to obtain a PPP. And the PPP was put in place by the federal government in the early weeks of the pandemic to get money to small businesses, because it's the smaller businesses that were dramatically affected by COVID, having to close down, not being able to operate. So nail salon owners had to close down, restaurants have closed, movie theaters have closed, hotels have closed. And so the PPP program is not just for the big business. And while we've heard on CNN and all the news media that President Donald Trump found a way and the SBA found a way to get some of these bigger businesses PPP money, I have to say that I was able to get out over $1 million to smaller businesses just through my company. So
wait a minute. No, you will not rush through that. We were going to take a minute to pause and celebrate, because you just said what, lady?
Yes.
KCG Consulting was able to do what?
Over $1 million. So when I totaled up all of the funds that I was able to secure for all of my clients, it was over $1 million. So God is good. God is good, and I'm so thankful for that. So the money is there, and you just have to know how to apply for it so that you can get approved for it. So payroll protection is again a loan, as Lady Wright said, as you said in the beginning, but it's a loan that's forgivable as long as you utilize the money for payroll, utilities, mortgage. And one thing that the bill did was expand. So if you need PPE, you can get PPE, that's mask, any equipment that you need to keep yourself safe, and other operational costs are in there as well, which was not part of the first bill. So it is a loan to help you pay your employees and any other operating expenses that you may have in your business. And it is forgivable if indeed you use it for the proper purposes. So i.e. you can't go out and buy a car, i.e. you can't go out and buy clothes and shoes and red bottoms. You have to take that money and invest it back in your business. And in the end, you'll be required to demonstrate that you've used that money and invested it in your business. And so that Payroll Protection Act is still in place. So if you didn't get money the first round, it is available for you this round. And again, there's $285 billion in the Payroll Protection Program. So someone might be asking, well, what if I got one before? Am I eligible for a second round? And that's the great thing about this new bill. Absolutely. If you received funding before, and you want a new loan, then you can get a new loan. There are some requirements, however. Get your pen and paper, and you have to show. And this is actually for any business, but definitely for second rounders. Your business has to be established prior to February 15th of 2020. and there has to be proof of that. The easiest way to demonstrate that is through your organizational filings, right? So if you can show that you filed your business prior to 2/15 at the Secretary of State, then you're done. But there's a lot of sole proprietors, right? We don't have articles of incorporation. Independent contractors don't have articles of incorporation. And so for anyone that was in business and operating and you don't have articles of incorporation, then you would have to show proof another way that your business was established prior to 2/15/20, right? They want to give money to businesses that were affected by COVID. So if you didn't open your business until June, while you still might be affected by COVID, they're really trying to get money to those businesses that were operating and have been impacted and interrupted by COVID, not people who actually have started a business and want to get money. There is money available for you. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but not under the PPP program. So again, business before February 15th, 2020, self-employed individuals, sole proprietors, independent contractors, pastors, might not be getting a payroll check, but you do have income coming in and they're paying you as a 1099, speaking engagements on Zoom, etc. You as an independent contractor are eligible for a Payroll Protection Act loan. And again, nonprofits, there was this whole conversation about churches. Were churches eligible? And they absolutely are. So churches can get a Payroll Protection Act loan. The interest rate on these loans are at 2.5%. There is no with a 30-year term. So even if you didn't get it all forgiven, which you can if you use it correctly, but even if you didn't, getting $10,000, $20,000 for a 30-year term at $100 a month, to me, when you're struggling and don't have any income coming in, is well worth it. And it's totally now tax deductible. So the Treasury Department, Stephen Mnuchin, he originally in the first bill said you could not deduct your Payroll Protection Act expenses. And so if you got the loan and you kept the loan and you didn't get forgiveness, then you had to treat it as income and pay taxes on it, as well as your EIDL. Now you don't have to pay taxes on any of the money. So God is good. They really did some good work on this bill. So that's the first loan. So you didn't get a loan the first time, you're eligible for a loan the second time around. You're in business in February of 2020 and you have income. There's some other details which we can get into about how we prove that information, but that's really the basic threshold. And then for the second timers, one other thing that they want to see is that your gross receipts at the end of 2020 was less than your 219 gross receipts. And that is pretty much the case of most businesses, because once the Payroll Protection Act money ran out that you may have received by August, then your income probably took a plummet. So we're comparing quarters of income in 219 to 220 to show a 25% decrease in gross receipts. And that's why I've been telling people this is technical. Right. We want to make sure that you get the money. We want to make sure that you're eligible. And so getting the bank statements, doing the comparisons and creating the narrative is something that's required under this bill that wasn't necessarily required the first time around. And that's where KCG can help.
Excellent. We've heard about the bill. Now we know whether or not we're eligible to apply. When can we start to either hire your services or go to the portal ourselves? When does all of this open up?
So this SBA has declined to comment on when it's going to open up the PPP portal because it says that they refuse to comment on pending legislation or legislation that's just passed. And of course, the holidays were in there. and the legislation is silent on a particular deadline as to when the SBA would open the program. It does, however, outline a 10-day deadline under which the SBA must issue regulations to carry out the regulation. And so from all of us business owners that do this, that definitely puts us in January, probably mid-January. And we're all thinking about January 15th, we would see the portals open. The economic injury disaster loan, which we haven't gotten into yet, that was extended under the bill, and that expired on December 31st. So the EIDL is open. It's open now. You can apply for the EIDL now because that just continued as a result of the signing of the legislation. It did not expire.
Excellent. Now, many of us, we are Prince Georgians. We're Prince George's County proud. We're making sure that our community stays here, and we're supporting our local restaurants. We're supporting our local businesses, making sure that we do our part and keeping them open. Now, what I will say to you is, who can apply for this? I know that I constantly, my vanity keeps me at the beauty supply store,
Yes.
and my fat girl tendencies keep me ordering from the businesses that I absolutely enjoy to eat at. Who can apply for PPP/EIDL?
Yes. So as I said, again, sole proprietors, what does that mean? That means I'm doing business. Again, I haven't filed or created a limited liability company or a corporation, but I'm just working, let's say I'm just working for myself, and I've been doing that for 2 years. So I drive an Uber, or I drive a taxi, or I even work at a beauty supply store. As a sole proprietor and as an independent contractor, if you're not on payroll, someone else's payroll, meaning you're not getting a W-2, um, a W-2 and a payroll stub, but you are generating income, you can apply for that. One of the ways they test that, however, and this is really, really important, is through your Schedule C. Schedule C is a form that sole proprietors and independent contractors file with their taxes. One thing that will be required in order to prove income, because your PPP and your EIDL is based on monthly as well as gross yearly income, we have to demonstrate to them that you've been operating as a business and have income. And one of their tests to do, one of the ways they test that is through looking at your tax returns and your Schedule C return. So there was a lot of businesses that got knocked out, or people did not actually end up applying because they did not have their taxes done and Schedule Cs. One thing that KCG did for a lot of businesses last go round was actually help them get to file their Schedule Cs and their taxes so that they could apply. And I think that that's very, very important, because we need to be good stewards over what God has given us. And one way we show that is through rendering unto Caesar as Caesar requires, and that's paying taxes and that's filing taxes. If you're not getting your stimulus check, or you're delayed on that because you haven't filed your taxes, file your taxes. If you are not going to go for the PPP because you haven't filed your taxes, file your taxes, and then you'll be able to get 2, 3, 4 times what your average gross income is. That can get you through a good part of this year, because as we know, unfortunately, the virus isn't going anywhere anytime soon. We're just starting to see vaccination with our healthcare workers and frontline workers, but we're not going to get it or be qualified to receive it until the spring. So realistically, we don't view that we're going to start seeing everything opening up in this, our new normal, whatever that is, until summer or fall. And so if you need the funds, and you're struggling, let's get you in order, right? One of the things that KCG is doing, and God has not let me sleep about this with my current clients, is developing strategic plans. The Bible says that you have to write the vision, make it plain, that your plans fail for lack of preparation. And so if you have a business, if you've been running as an independent contractor, if you're a hairstylist, if you have a business idea, even, let's get this this idea down on paper. And maybe it is that we can show that you've been operating as a sole proprietor for 2 years, and now you're switching to an LLC, or now you're filing your Schedule C. There's so many ways to cut the cookie to be able to satisfy, excuse me, the SBA and the banks that are doing this lending. But we have to be very prudent about the way that it's done. And KCG can help you do that. Someone might be listening and you might say, well, I don't have the documentation. You don't really know what you have because this is not your expertise. Call us, www.kcgllc.org, and we can walk you through whether you're eligible, whether you're not eligible. I am doing free consultations, and then we can see if we're ready to go. And if we're ready to go, then you can decide whether you want to make the investment in it. But anybody that's generating income, I would just start with that. And you're not a salaried employer, you don't receive a W-2, you could be eligible for a payroll protection program loan.
This is excellent, Dr. Anderson. One of the things that I learned through this time is that dreams are dying unnecessarily on our watch. And
right.
that help is available for you, but you have to reach out to grab hold of the help that's being offered to you.
Absolutely.
I do believe that there is already an answer in the earth, and personally for my organization, KCG Consulting has been an answer for us.
Amen.
And I do know that KCG can also assist you. So the
Amen.
only thing that you have to do is reach out for help. You will never know if you qualify, if you don't qualify, if you need to prepare. This is not going to be the last stimulus package. We are in the midst of a pandemic.
Yes.
Life as we know it will never be the same again. And we have to, the Congress has to put parameters and measures in place to make sure that the United States of America does not fail.
That's right.
So with that being said, this is not the last package that's going to be offered. And if you remember what Dr. Anderson said, the first package was trillions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
This one may be billions of dollars, which means there has to be something else after this. So let's just say you're not in a place where you can prepare to apply for this one. Be sure that you are ready for the one after this.
That's right. That's right.
So again, KCG Consulting, how can we reach out to you if we have any questions, if we want to know whether or not we are qualified, or if we want to get in the position to apply? How do we reach out to you? One more time.
Sure. So www.kcgllc.org. That's www.kcgllc.org. There is a contact tab. If you put down that you've seen this talk on Facebook, I will provide you with a discount. Free consultation, 15 minutes, but I will provide anyone that's contacting us today for assistance with PPP and EIDL applications. I will give you a discount.
I love it.
Yep. And one thing I do want to say, I did not mention, we don't want to take up too much time, but with the EIDL, this is a really big thing that Congress did because they definitely got slammed on getting money out to big businesses. They now are targeting small businesses that aid the hardest hit and the most vulnerable small businesses, including Black, Native American, Hispanic, Asian, and women-owned businesses. It's targeted in the bill. And so there are hear me good, $10,000 grants eligible for applicants in low-income communities that did not receive grants that were available under the EIDL program because funding ran out. That money is going to run out just as quickly as the other grants did. And so one thing that Lady Wright said that I just want to reemphasize, you can't get money if you don't apply. And sometimes people look at me and say, okay, well, I don't want to take this amount of money that I don't really have and invest in you helping me if I really don't think that I'm going to be able to get it. I'm not going to take your money and apply if you're totally not eligible. But in the EIDL package, if you don't get the EIDL, you could get a grant if you're not 100% eligible because you are a small business and you're in the hardest hit, most vulnerable area in your community and you're serving your community. So there's grants available under the new bill. There's the loans available under the new bill. You could get a grant, a PPP, a EIDL, and a loan. And so why not take the risk and try it? My fees are, I believe, reasonable for our community. And they're incentive based for me. Now, I am the kind of person that will do this only because I want to see you thrive. But certainly the way that I've packaged this for my businesses, I get something on the back end. And so there's an incentive for me, not just because I'm a woman of God and I have a heart to do this work, but there's an incentive for me as well as a business owner who needs money to operate to be successful for you. So Lady Wright and I, we want you to be successful. We want to see you thrive. And as she said, we don't know when that next package is coming. Prayerfully, we'll see Georgia turn blue so President Biden won't have a hard time trying to get another package through. But it could be towards the end of 2021. So let's start this year off fresh. Let's get some strategic planning if you're a small business. Let's talk about monetizing your business. If you're a nonprofit and you need grants, call me. If you're a church and you need funding, call me. And if you're a small business and you don't know where to turn, call me. Call me. Contact me at www.kcgllc.org. We'll do a quick 15 minutes assessment and then the ball will be in your court. You take it to God, decide whether or not this is for you, and we'll go from there. But I have had a over 90% success rate in my applications. It started out as 100%, but I will say this, and I was doing some research before I got on today, and I was looking at Forbes, I was looking at Washington Business Insider, and they did agree with me and reveal that the prior program was quote unquote a chock full of issues because they kept changing the rules as they went along because things were not set up in advance. So if people are wondering why isn't the portal open, what they're trying to do is learn from their mistake and make sure that the portal is open, make sure all the requirements are consistent. So once they pull that trigger, they don't have ever changing requirements, which sets people behind because they think that they can apply and be eligible one day and then the requirements change on them in the back office and they don't even know it and then they get kicked out. All of those kinks this time around, they're at least attempting to resolve so that once that portal opens, we'll be ready to go. And KCG definitely wants to help you. www.kcgllc.org.
That's it. In this season of my life, I want sweatless victories. So I will just say to each of you, each of us have lived through days. I'm going to repeat this that we've never lived through before. And navigating through unknown times, it is pertinent that we partner with organizations that will help us navigate through the process of the unknown. And as I said, KCG has been proving in my life that she's experienced, she's knowledgeable, she knows what it is that our businesses need in order to thrive, whether you are an Instacart worker, a Uber driver, a CEO, a for-profit, a nonprofit organization. Whoever you are, wherever you find yourself, KCG Consulting can be an answer to what it is that you need just to survive. Listen, right through here, we're just trying to get through this quarter. So, what will take me from January through March without stressing? Keep in my mind, let's just talk about it. Right through here, sanity is something we should not take for granted.
Absolutely.
And if you are a CEO, you carry a heavy burden. So KCG Consulting is an answer to your burden. Reach out to her, get your 15-minute consulting, whether your paperwork is together, whether it is not together. There's no judgment zone. Listen, we all can have room for improvement. Reach out to them, get what it is that you need to get you through to navigate through a time that we've never even imagined. And let's use 2021 to propel us to a 2022 that many people can't even imagine the greatness attached to it. So I'll say to you, KCG Consulting, make sure that you reach out to her. You have her webpage. Make sure you like her business page. In addition to the EIDLs, in addition to the PPPs, there's grant money that's readily available for both non and for-profit organizations. I also sit on the board for the chamber, the People's Coalition for Change, Black Chamber of Commerce, and these organizations are working diligently to make sure that information is fed into our communities so that we can get the same benefits that other zip codes have.
That's right. That's right. And again, you said there are other grant funds out there, and I definitely did want to harp on that before we close. BGE, if you're in the Baltimore and Prince George's County area, January 20th, they are releasing grants for small businesses of up to $20,000. There is a grant application. It's more than just putting your name and your address on there. So I do want to emphasize that KCG is not just there for the PPPs and the EIDLs. And come January, there's money flowing all over the place. And it's not just COVID relating funding, it's funding to fund your business. So if you are a church and you're doing transitional housing, there's new government money. It's the first of the year. So it's the first quarter. If you want to do after school programming, there's money for you. You want to do it virtually, there's money for you. And if you don't know where to find it and you're not connected to those platforms and resources, you won't. And that's one of the things that KCG offers. So I just did want to impress upon you. It's time to fund your vision. It's time to really be everything that God has called you to be. And sometimes you need assistance and guidance to get there. And that's okay. As my wonderful Bishop Glenn A. Staples always says, he said, I'm a preacher and I'm a pastor. You're a lawyer and you're a grant writer. I don't want to know what you do. I want to know how you do it. You do that, I'll do what I do. So for, again, all you business owners, do your hair, do the nails, run the business, and, let's partner to make you even better than you are now.
Excellent. This has been great, Dr. Anderson. Thank you for always being willing to share your expertise, your wisdom, and your knowledge. It is necessary in times, as I've said, and I will be a broken record when I said this, in times that we've never lived in before. And one of the things that I've said was that everybody attached to me should win, because I'm full of information, I'm full of wisdom, I'm full of knowledge, I'm full of strategic partners. I mean, my Rolodex actually works. I am married to Bishop Donald, right? I mean, my Rolodex works, but anybody attached to me should not lose in this season. You should gain. And you've been a vital part of people in my life gaining in this season. So I thank you. And again, if you are the porter for the PPPs and the EIDLs, should open mid-January, and you are able to do it yourself. However, why would you? We live in a generation where we want it quick, fast, and easy. KCG is your quick, fast, and easy. So I would highly recommend that you reach out to Dr. Anderson. Your webpage one more time. You can't even say it now.
Sure. Nope. www.kcgllc.org. www.kcgllc.org. And if it didn't work last time, it can work now.
It can work now. Listen, no more dreams dying on our watch. We African Americans have been the greatest starters of businesses globally, everywhere. And the fact of the matter is, if we were stronger together, if we all bridge our wisdom, our expertise, and our knowledge together, no dreams would die on our watch. Dr. Anderson, thank you for allowing me to be a part of this moment. Thank you for being a vital portion of Prince George's County businesses staying vital, alive, and thriving. Again, if you're attached to us, you shouldn't die on this season. You should thrive in this season. So with that being said, thank you so very much, Dr. Anderson.
Thank you.
I look forward to going higher with you in 2021.
God bless you. Thank you, Lady Wright. You are my heart, and thank you for giving me this platform and bringing out what I needed to bring out to bless the people.
Yes, thank you.
All right, well, thank you. We'll talk to you soon, guys. Bye. See ya.